Hello everyone, my name is LIAO and my medical number is 20271094. So Keynesianism is also known as Keynesian economics. It's another important theory of economic theory based on Keynes' books, The General Theory of Employment, Interest, and Money. Advocates that the country adopts an expansionary economic policy to promote economic by increasing demand. It is to expand a certain amount of government spending and the implement of financial deficit, and also stimulate the economy and maintain prosperity. Political economy or economics since late 18th century was based on the idea of continuous development of production to increase economic output. While Keynes believed that the decrease in aggregate demand for goods was the main cause of economic recessions, he has since pointed out that measures to maintain a balanced overall economic activity, the data can balance supply and demand to a macro level. Therefore, Keynesian and other economic theories based on Keynesian theory are called macroeconomics, as distinct from macroeconomics, which focus on the study of individual behavior.
Next, I'll present the historical background of the Keynesian school. The Great Depression of 1930s was a driving force towards the acceptance of Keynes' ideas. He adopted the macroeconomic approach. World War I requires an overall view of the economy. This approach became increasingly necessary as the public became more eager for the government to deal actively with unemployment. After the World War I, rate of population was declining. Most of the world had already been colonized, no room for further geographic expansion. Production outran consumption as incomes and savings rose. After 1930s, many economists in the US advocated policies later known as Keynesian. These policies were presented before the publication of Keynesian's The General Theory, but it was Keynes who provided the analytical framework that integrated these ideas and touch of the Keynesian revolution in economics. Major tenets of the Keynesian schools. First of all, macroeconomic emphasis concerned with the determinants of the total or aggregate amounts of consumption, saving, income, output, and employment, not interested in individual firm decision. Demand orientation stressed the importance of effective demand as the immediate determinant of national income, output, and employment. The effective demand establishes the economy's actual output, which is less than the full employment level of output. Next, instability in the economy. Changes in investment plans cause national income and output to change by amounts greater than the initial changes in investment. Next, wage and price rigidity. Wages tend to be inflexible because of institutional factors such as union contracts, minimum wage laws, and implicit contracts. Wages and prices are sticky. Lastly, the active fiscal and monetary policies. The government should intervene through appropriate MP and FP to fight recession and depression. Government should increase spending or reduce taxes. It should also increase the money supply to drive down interest rates in the hope that it will increase investment. That's all from me. Thank you.
My name is LILIAN. So now I will continue to present the part of 5 major questions. Number 3, who did the Keynesian school benefit or seek to benefit? The greatest achievement of Keynesian school is solve the economic problems which is depression and unemployment. The increasing aggregate demands have led to a very tight in the labor market. It allowed the associations to negotiate without worrying too much about unemployment in order to improve wage and working conditions. Businesses will benefit from government contract and government stimuli to gradually get the economy out of depression. For farmers, many often supported the government low interest rate and relatively low monetary policy. Farmers rely on the agricultural expenditure plans provided by the government. Their spokespersons have long incorporated it into the Keynesian system before they have proved a proof theory of the multiplier. When government intervention in order to raise farmers' income, they claim that each dollar received by the farmer generated a $7 increase in their national income. For consumers in the 1960 and 1970 years, all the consumer support tax cuts. Such cuts are accompanied by an overall reduction in government spending. Keynesian principle that they will necessary to stimulate demand and economic growth. Now I want to continue my presentation with major question number 4. How was the Keynesian school values useful or correct in its time? Keynes brought economic theory to policy making. He believed that reducing wage is not only way to increase full employment. According to Keynes, reducing nominal wage will lead to worse economic conditions. In his opinion, a company can increase its performance by reducing its wage cuts because the demand for each good will not change. When the wage begin decline, consumers will expect wage them to fall still further. This may cause a business to postpone investment spending, making the depression worse. If falling wage result in falling price, this again would matter because the real burdens increase. In addition, profit margin will become smaller, thus closing off the new investment. It is because cut wage earners who have high marginal propensity to consume, which also called it NPC, and help employers who have low marginal propensity to consume, and this further worsens the situation. Keynes strongly opposed to wage cut because it will lead to many problems. He was quite successful in converting people to the idea that wage policy should be divorced from policy to counter depression. Keynes said there are better ways to create full employment. Now I would like to continue the present uh, the last one for the five major question. Number 5, which tenets of the Keynesian school become lasting contribution? Actually, many tenets of the Keynesian school brought a lot of contribution. Many ideas developed by Keynes and his followers now become generally accepted point. In fact, modern economy can be said are the combined Keynesian inspired macroeconomy and new classical microeconomy. The Keynesian concept still widely used, especially in economy textbooks. There are few examples of Keynesian concepts, such as the marginal propensity to consume (MPC), marginal propensity to save (MPS), speculative demand of money, the multiplier, and so on. All these are the example in the textbook, economic textbook, but it is not mean that all of this idea of Keynes and his followers provide other correct. There are also have some general criticisms of Keynes thinking. That's all for me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is LEEI, and my metric number is BB12403 and now I'm gonna talk about the reason for interest. So the first reason, he is called Keynes of America. He has a special ability to relate Keynes' works to the actual situation in the United States. By the standard of the time, he was an orthodox economist in 1930. His book on the economic cycle, written in 1927, is generally regarded as the standard reference book in this field. And the second reason, he loves serious investigation. Hansen did not accept Misch's aversion to theory. He combines Misch's emphasis on the necessity of empirical analysis with his support for the theoretical framework. Hansen's unique orthodox background and American background made his transition to new economics across great interest of historian. He left a complete record, which include the thoughts of the period between the outbreak of Second World War and the thoughts of the stock market crash. And the third reason, he is a good teacher. Paulo Simonson won the Nobel Prize in Economics. When the reporter asked him what was the secret of winning the Nobel Prize, Simonson immediately replied, to find a good teacher. Hansen's open discussion teaching, warm and patient teaching, and profound knowledge have greatly benefited these students. And the fourth reason, he is also an excellent scholar. As an outstanding scholar, he not only taught a group of successful students, but also became the founder of New Classical Sentences School with his own academic research. The market economy is still the foundation, but the government's role in the economy is becoming more and more important. He believes that this economy is superior to the purely private economy and overcomes some of the disadvantages of the market economy, but it is not the kind of centralized plain economy. And what about his tax thoughts? The fifth reason, mean theory. Hansen emphatically studied the economic cycle of capitalism and put forward the theory of long-term stagnation. And about his analysis of tax revenue, tax breaks have a significant impact on preventing recession. And the last reason is his analysis of tax rate. Hansen believes that the tax rate is an effective judgment tool, and that the tax rate plays an important role in curbing inflation, and it is the most important means to maintain full employment. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is LIANGSANKIU. I will present the significance of idea or theory from Alvin S. Hansen to economic thought. Okay, this is a picture of him taken long time ago. For a simple introduction, the importance of his idea or theory. Firstly, popularizing the idea contained in Keynes' general theory has been a contributor as an economist. Secondly, discovery which provide the best solution to the economy, and his creation have become references that his book translated into 29 languages and used for educational purposes. So that show him has a lot of importance to society and economic thought. The contribution to the idea ISLM model. Using this idea allow to describe aggregate market for real good and financial market interact to enjoy interest rate and total output in macroeconomic. And second, this model is designed to facilitate the formation of such graph or curve for the principle of Keynesian economic theory. And three, this model used to show how changes in the market on the equilibrium level of the market interest rate and gross domestic product or GDP. The significance of his idea to economic thought is the Keynesian revolution of another economist that is idea through the idea generated by Alvin Hansen to idea or theory in Keynes economic to develop the economy of the country or another countries that use it. This also help in study the economy against this Keynesian economic. Related attract other economies to deepen the function of his idea to be enhanced. For example, John Hicks introduced ISLM model and continue by Alvin Hansen then introduced to in learning Keynesian macroeconomic and also improved and taught his original ISLM model. Besides that, his book entitled Guide to Keynesian attract the attention and liked by other researchers, and it has been translated for other countries to use it also. Secondly, creating effective method in improving the economic. In 1730, his country economic faced problem which resulted in a low and unfavorable rate of economic demand, which caused a decrease in the rate of demand in the market, causing losses to the economy. After that, Alvin Hansen tried to find a way to overcome it, and then he introduced this idea of fiscal compensation policy. From this, economic problem can be overcome and restore economic growth increase. Therefore, the idea he created have evolved into the modern era and to the present day and are used for economic interests of the country. For example, to controlling the lack of demand in market and overcoming unemployment, and hence the importance of focusing to achieve a GDP stability. Next is awareness of the importance of macroeconomic management. Although his title as the government top advisor was never permanent, but he frequently conducted in-depth study to find the best solution to spend in an economy. For example, he studied in state and local finance in the national economy. In his study, he found that fiscal policy in 1944 lacked control over state and local government. Instead of that discovery, he made an innovation in economic thinking to balance in the modern economy to improve the management of the economy. Besides that, he succeeded in creating his outstanding student, such as Paul Smolson, and this is a picture of him taken a long time ago. So next is idea continue to be used in economy and also referred by economy student in knowing its concept and history.
And also, how to deal with hundreds of financial crises large and small in human economic history, has formed two completely different camps. Keynesianism, which advocates active government intervention, believes that active fiscal policies must be used to expand credit and stimulate demand, and also materialists who should intervene believe that markets are always rational, that government intervention can only make things worse, and that depression should be allowed to clear themselves. In Friedman's words, the best way to calm the market is to let him hit a wall, not artificial cooling down. It is very different idea that demands two completely different evolutions of the historical status of the Roosevelt New Deal. In the 1930s, Keynesians believed that the expansionary policies and interventions adopted by the Roosevelt New Deal prevent the further spread of panic. The United States lifted them out of the depression by restoring effective demand for help, while monetarists believe that it was precisely because of the government's improper intervention and bailout that spread the cycle of the markets on adjustment, but instead delayed the end of the pain until the outbreak of the World War in 1939. The United States did not rely on war-brought prosperity out of the circles, so it was the war that lifted America out of the depression, not Roosevelt New Deal. Thank you.